Good afternoon, Mr. Rector. You've written welfare payments, quote unquote, increase dependency, isn't that right? And in your opinion, dependency on welfare benefits is a bad thing, obviously.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that having welfare benefits is necessary. I'm not against the welfare state, but I believe that the incentives of the welfare state should help people to go upward rather than to fall apart and go downward. And well, the system you have now.
Let me just jump in here. I'm talking about dependency. Over dependency on welfare benefits is a bad thing?
Long-term dependency certainly is, yes.
Let me bring your attention to something that happened at the Republican National Convention last summer. In this visual, Teamsters President Sean O'Brien said, quote, "The biggest recipients of welfare in this country are corporations," close quote. You don't dispute he said that, right?
I guess not.
In 2023, the Cato Institute, by no means a liberal think tank, found that the federal government spends more than $100 billion a year on what they call, quote unquote, corporate welfare. You don't dispute that they found that, right?
No, I guess not.
Now, Mr. Linden, according to the Brookings Institute, oil and gas companies annually receive $20 billion in direct federal subsidies that no other business in this country gets. And you don't dispute that the Brookings Institution found that either, right?
Nope, that's absolutely right.
Look, if we're going to talk about reforming the welfare state, Mr. Chair, let's also look at corporate welfare. In the words of Paul Ryan, the former speaker, quote, "Republicans can't make the case to the American people that Republicans are the reform party if Republicans won't reform the giant corporate welfare state in Washington." Chairman, this is a theme I'll be returning to on this committee as we proceed. Let me turn to my next topic. Sir, Mr. Rector, according to the Washington Post, you said the following, quote, "Is poverty harmful for childhood?" Question. I think not. You don't dispute that you said this, right?
No.
Let's explore if poverty is harmful. The NIH, under President Trump, found that poverty is consistently associated with academic achievement gaps as early as kindergarten. And by age 14, lower income students are, quote, a full year behind their peers. The NIH found, you don't dispute the NIH found that, right?
I could explain what I am saying in that quote if you want me to.
I'm asking you, you don't dispute that the NIH found that these academic
you don't want me to explain.
gaps
I
exist?
don't dispute. No, I don't.
I'd like to bring your attention to an Department of HHS study which finds that childhood poverty is associated with, quote, developmental delays, chronic illness, and nutritional deficits. Mr. Linden, you don't dispute that the HHS found that, and I presume that you agree with them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of studies that show childhood poverty has long-term negative effects for the children and the economy as a whole.
So academic gaps, development delays, along with chronic illness. Now, in addition, Mr. Rector, you said to the Heritage Foundation in 2007, quote, "Most poor children are supernourished." You don't dispute you said that, right?
That's exactly what the USDA data shows. Yeah, I've read the reports, very few.
You're not a doctor, right? You're not a medical doctor,
No,
right?
I am an expert in the
You're not a
food
medical
program.
doctor, are you?
I do know more about nutrition.
You know more about nutrition than a medical doctor.
I know more about nutrition and welfare programs than any doctor.
You're not a nutritionist, are you?
I know. I said exactly what I'm saying. If you want
It's
to
a
look
simple
at these
yes or no
surveys,
question. You're not a
look-
nutritionist, are you?
No, I'm
And you're not a
I'm an
dietitian.
expert in the food stamp program.
Sir,
and its
anybody who
nutritional
thinks
effects.
that anybody
You want
who
to talk
thinks-
about the food stamp program and its nutritional effects, or do you want a grandstand?
Anybody who thinks that childhood poverty is not harmful to children, unfortunately, should not be talking about whether these welfare programs benefit families or not. Let me turn your
Would you
attention
like
to
me
my
to
final
explain what I
topic
meant by
in
that?
my limited time. On January 31st, Politico quoted Donald Trump as promising to, quote, love and cherish Medicaid. Mr. Linden, you don't dispute that Politico reported that, right?
They definitely reported that.
Donald Trump also promised that, quote, the people won't be affected. Medicaid will only be more effective and better. That's what he said, right?
That's what he's promising.
Punchbowl News reported, quote, the Energy and Commerce Committee currently is eyeing up to $2 trillion in cuts to Medicaid. You don't dispute they reported this, do you, Mr. Rector? This is what Punchbowl News said.
I'm not aware of that.
Michael, can you tell us briefly what would happen if $2 trillion in cuts to Medicaid actually occurred in terms of the number of people who'd be dropped from Medicaid?
Yeah, tens of millions would lose coverage or benefits or both. There's just no way around it. Those level of cuts, there is not tweaks or efficiencies to be found that is 1/3 of total Medicaid spending at the federal level. It isn't there. If it's not just one of the proposals that I've heard being batted around it would mean 36 million potential people would lose coverage. So there's a lot of harm here.
We are at a proverbial fork in the road. Either we keep President Trump's promise that the people won't be affected, close quote, or we accept trillions in cuts to our safety net programs that drop tens of millions of people, Americans, from the Medicaid rolls. This will not only affect them, this will devastate them.